And we're on. Good evening, everyone. How are you? This is Mariana Leah Hernandez, and I'm coming to you guys live from the Magdalena Chronicles. It's so nice to be back and to see you all, and welcome to this beautiful special event for the 11/11. And so we have an extraordinary guest with us today. His name is Anthony Russell. He is very well known for his extraordinary mediumship, his psychic abilities, his teaching of the metaphysical, and recently, as we are blessed and proud to say that the Esoteric Guides NYC is now celebrating their 1 year anniversary, actually, as a matter of fact, this month. And he is the proud host and very well known face of the Zodiac Lounge. So we are actually doing basically almost a connectional crossover between the Magdalena Chronicles and the Zodiac Lounge, which I'm so proud to be a part of tonight. It's an honor to have Anthony Russell as our guest. But before we do that, just wanted to say a couple of words in regards to the 11/11. So first and foremost, 11/11 actually is my own spiritual rebirth day, which is why this event is so special to me, because I've come quite a long way in my own spiritual awakening journey. 11/11, aside being from Veterans Day, where we all honor our fallen heroes and those beautiful heroic souls that came before us, that gave up their lives for our freedom, 11/11 stands as and is marked truly as a day of liberation, redemption, and a magnificent day for the most powerful energetic field and spectrum for a Stargate portal that opens every year on November 11th. And so if you ever find yourself seeing 11/11, or even specifically today, if you find yourself seeing 11/11 or 111, or 2021 itself is the most amazing number. 11/11 of 2021 is extraordinary, because simply, I mean, last year at this time, we were all getting ready to literally kind of celebrate the walking and the embracement of the harmonic convergence reenactment on 12/21 of 2020, right before. And so 11/11 of 2020 was such a beautiful platform for what's been going on for the remainder of the year, before today. And so what the guides that actually even guided to me this morning was that today is almost like a compilation for a lot of us who had been going through major initiations, major spiritual awakenings, primarily in the initiation sector, where we had gone through challenges or accelerated awakening status, what we picked during our timeline or before our birth. It's almost like a closeout, and it's almost like a new chapter is about to begin. It's a deconstruction of our own psyche, of our own subconsciousness on all levels. It's almost like dissecting disciplines at school, from one subject to another subject, where every category, every area of your life is being dissected, is being reevaluated, and is being reformatted. And in that process of reformatting our own framework of mind and our own framework of heart, the intelligence of our own heart is being configured and reconfigured twice over in order for ourselves to become the best, most highest possible versions at this time. And then so it will lead into another platform for another year, where a new Stargate will open next year on 11/11/2022, where life will become so much more in a different platform, shifting in enhanced versions of itself. And then we might find ourselves a lot easier, smoother, more refined. We will find that our psychic abilities have improved, or our life on a whole has taken on a whole new trajectory. And that is why 11/11 of this year is so gigantically, enormously, and extraordinarily important, especially at times that we are living in right now. And with the continuance of this pandemic, we find ourselves in a spiritual arena of a major awakening shift. And so there's so many different planets in sync, so many different planets that are in alignment. And it's just an incredible thing that this powerful, amazing gateway, the Stargate of 11/11, opens the doorway for us to take on a new trajectory of our timelines, of our realities, the ability for us to manifest brand new forms and formations of our own realities and timelines, where we could take our entire life as it's been scripted prior to our birth, and we could shift that trajectory in willingness, in willing conscious choice to be able to change. So anything that we have known ceased to exist at this time. And it's such an amazing event that is happening tonight, especially for all of us around the planet, that it's an honor and a privilege to be a part of it. It really is. My spiritual rebirth day actually began on 11/11 of 2016, where I literally had an entire day filled with memories just reawakened and triggered of all past timelines and things that have happened and all past woes and promises and traumas. And so these repatternings, these cycles, these old wounds had actually come up today for me to bring them up to surface, not go against the current, but flow with them into being and actually allow them to come up, process them, and release them in a more healthier way where they are no longer a part of me as they do not serve me. And so that I was very proud to say, studying with Archangel Metatron's teachings and guidance and channelings from Mary Magdalene and Yeshua and Mother Mary and Anna and all of our guides and our Galactic Federation of Light, that has helped me not only to shift my trajectory, but to become the highest, most possible version of myself as I am growing into being. I'm far ahead from being who I am really, but at least I am one step closer. And that is something that I am truly proud to say and announce to you all tonight and share that moment with you all. It is quite a celebration for me. So I'm so grateful. And I think that before I bring Anthony on, there will be a couple of messages I will do after Anthony finishes speaking and after we do our beautiful mediumship live event, which I'm so excited to do with Anthony tonight as a crossover. I want to leave you guys with a message that I got from this morning. And I think it's great to do that before Anthony speaks. The message that I got was actually from Mother Mary. And the message was that we are all going through so much. Every single being on this planet, whether it is in human form, whether it's a Homo sapien, whether it is in the animal kingdom, whether it's in the plant kingdom, whether it's bird, anything that is alive and living, whether it's a flower, a rose, a lily, anything, is currently going through a massive shift of transitioning. Through that massive shift of transitioning, we're all going through a deconstructional period of time where all the timelines and realities are currently shifting, as it seems. Every trajectory is being shifted. Every cell in each person's body is currently being deconstructed and revitalized and regenerated down to its mitochondrial nucleic acid level, where everything is being reformatted within the framework and the platform of life. So picture a tapestry, almost like a gossamer thread, one of those really old medieval looking like tapestries that you've ever seen on people's walls or on the ceiling or on windows. And these little threads that are part of those gossamer threads, that's what they're called, gossamer threads. They're like little cotton threads. That is our lives. That is us. We make a piece of that gossamer thread that is global around the world. We are part of a giant, not even an organism, but a giant platform of a picture. And so each of us, it's almost like a butterfly effect, make a giant difference upon the global trajectory of all life. Each of our actions, each of our conscious and unconscious choices, each of our thoughts, conscious or unconscious, make a giant impact on the entire human collective consciousness. But at the same time, it doesn't only make a giant impact on the human collective consciousness, it also triggers, activates, shifts, and awakens other trajectories, timelines, and realities across the entire galactic consciousness and the entire galactic spectrum. So anything that we do affects all. The galactics isn't something above or beyond or below. It is all around us. We always hear as above, so below, but it is a metaphor because we are all one. We are all made of energy and vibration. And when one of us holds the deepest capacity to be able to lift our vibration higher and higher, that ability affects the entire trajectory of anywhere beyond 500 to over 1,000,000 to billion meters around them. We all are responsible for our actions, for our choices. This is a planet of free will. And so we make conscious choices or unconscious choices, but those things that we do really, truly affect all. I once was told in 2016 at a bookshop called Namaste in New York City, very famous bookshop for spiritual and metaphysical. I'll never forget that. It was actually a daughter of a South African leader who was exiled for his spiritual beliefs. And his daughter said to me at Namaste Bookshop in 2016, right before 11/11, raise your vibration as if your life depended on it, for chances are it does. And I truly hold on to that statement every single day. Because the truth is, whether I struggle or not to continuously raise my vibration and keep that vibration high, the truth is our vibration matters. And we have the ability, we have the capacity and the conscious choice to be able to continue raising our vibration as much as we can, not only for ourselves, for our overall well-being, for our health, and for our life. But most importantly, we can do that in order to help our entire human collective consciousness and also the entire galactic spectrum. And that is something that is such an amazing gift of life. It truly, truly is. And so Mother Mary says that the galactics, the guides, are always with us. Most importantly, the Isis energy, the divine feminine energy, is currently being present and currently filling the earth with its plasma, correlating sea energy. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. It's proliferating love and light and unconditional love throughout the entire planet. And it's continuously helping Mother Gaia to raise her vibration alongside ours. And Isis presence, the goddess Isis and the priestess and the daughters of Isis that are coming together this year is just an incredible, powerful, enamored energy that is completely flooding this planet. And it is just such a beautiful thing to see. If you look around, the energy of the birds that we can feel more, the sun that is just shining. I mean, the energy from the sun these days is just incredible. The energy even from the moon, how beautiful and how more powerful that it can be felt, even from the oceans and our lakes and our rivers and our mountains and from the entire nature spectrum. I mean, it's just incredible to see that around us. And so Mother Mary says that we go through quite a bit in this life. There is nothing more difficult than the human condition. But it is not our external that makes up our world, and it is not our external that changes our weather. It is us in our own temperature that changes not only the weather for ourselves, but the weather for others. And we have to start, we can choose to start, we don't have to, but we choose to start to become more responsible and holding ourselves more accountable for our own actions, our own thoughts, and monitoring our thoughts before they manifest. Because what we breathe, we bring to life. As Metatron once said in 2020, as I got guidance on that in August of 2020, the only difference really between life and death in this dimension, as in others, is their breath. And so we breathe what we purely intend to happen. And if we could just choose consciously to begin every single day in a grateful gratitude breath, to purely breathe out the most positive of what we all intend to happen, not only for ourselves, but for everyone around us, then we can serve our purpose in the most grandest of ways, because then we feel fulfilled. And a lot of times our own purpose is just to be fulfilled. And in what are we fulfilled? Not in egoic states, not in fear-based strategies, but in fulfillment of good service of the highest good and service to others in the highest, most conscionable good, where we raise our own vibration and we just be. Because when we are in a state of gratitude, when we are in a state of pure joy, happiness, harmony, conscious balance, we can raise not only our own vibration to maintain our overall being and maintain our purpose, we can raise the human consciousness collective and help Gaia ascend in her own consciousness. Help open the gates of 5D a lot smoother and easier, and allow the birthing that has been going on of Gaia, Earth, Terra, Mama Pacha, to become more beautiful and more open in heart and in mind for us all, so that our children and our children's children and future generations can see our planet in a whole different way, where life is so much easier, more eco-friendly, more natural, and more organic. So Mother Mary thanks us for being a part of this tonight. Thank you so much to Mother Mary. Thank you. Okay, and now I have the utmost pleasure of welcoming in our wonderful, extraordinary guest, Anthony Russell.
Well, thank you for the very warm welcome. And I have to say, what a great explanation of 1111. And happy rebirth day to you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's okay. I just wondered, are they like real birthdays? Do you think eventually you're just going to get tired of seeing the day come around?
I actually have two. I have 1111 and 1221 winter
Okay,
solstice.
excellent. So you are a solstice baby, but what an amazing explanation and what a beautiful message. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for channeling that. And hi, everyone. I'm very, very happy to be here. Um, and it's humbling to share this space with you, Mariana, and with our guests. Um, and I suppose I should introduce myself
I
to
would hope
anybody who,
so.
and also all of you here in the audience. I know you're all hiding behind your little artwork. Um, but if you want at any time, I don't know if you have the capacity to do it yourself or if Mariana or Michael have to do it, but feel free to use the raise hand function. You'll find that on the bottom of your screen. I'm at a desktop, so it's under reactions. If you'd like to speak or ask a question, and it looks like we have one already. So, Michael, if you'd like to do that. There you are.
And people can use the chat.
Okay. Yeah. So you can pop any questions that you might have in chat. I'll also keep an eye on it there. But I was born a very long time ago. I was born in 1952. So today there's even a stigma about people who do what I do. Any psychic, any medium. I have worked as a psychic and a medium professionally since 1968. But in the 1950s, it was really hard to be that way. We were living in the post-World War II environment where everything was perfect all the time. You were never allowed to be uncomfortable. It was a very kind of Ozzie and Harriet world. And you could break out from the herd, as I often did, because I've always been a bit of a blurter. Um, but you were quietly ostracized, unlike today, when you're just outright canceled by a mob of people that I hope are going to evolve into more polite people soon and stop doing away with everybody that disagrees with them. But it was just as restrictive back then. It just wasn't as volatile. So you can imagine what it was like for me the minute that I found out that everybody didn't see dead people, everybody weren't able to predict things. And that caused quite a bit of consternation in my family because they just didn't want their son being different. And they sure got a lot of material to run with as I got older. Um, and other things about my mortal life came to being. I've always been a bit of a nonconformist, but the very first time that I remember understanding that what I did could be controversial, a little frightening to people, I um, I was around 6 or 7 years old, so that was mid 1950s, and my grandmother was visiting. And my mother had taken exception to something I said or did that actually came to pass. I don't know if she was ashamed or terrified of my ability. It didn't matter to me. It was part of me. And even at that age, I was smart enough to kind of dig my heels in and own my identity. But she was really ripping into me. And my grandmother said, in her own vernacular, why don't you cut him some slack or something like that? And my mother said to her, if you were reprimanding me when I was a child, would your mother interfere? And immediately, a woman joined us that hadn't been with us. She just sort of showed up out of nowhere. And I instinctively knew it was my great grandmother, even though I had never met her. She died, I think, in 1946. I don't even remember seeing photos of her until later. Um, but I instinctively knew it was my great grandmother. And I said to my mother, why don't you ask her? She's standing right next to you. And my mother said, oh my God, there he goes again with this. And she went on her rant. And I was just paying attention. I was just focused on this woman because it was the first time that I ever saw one so clearly for more than just a fleeting instant. She was actually staying there, standing right there, looking down her nose at my mother, like, what the hell are you doing? And the buttons on her jacket were blinking or pulsating. I knew that there was something about them that must have some significance. So the moment passed, and a couple of hours later, my grandmother walked up to me and she said, what did you see? And I described her. She was about 5'6". She had this amazing red hair. It was just all kind of piled up and kind of tousley, kind of like a Toulouse-Lautrec drawing. And she was wearing a green jacket and the buttons were blinking. And I said, so what's up with the buttons? And so my grandmother reached into her handbag and took out her wallet. And she made me go through all of her pictures. And she said, stop when if you find the person that you saw in that room, stop and show me. So I did find a really great picture. And here she is. And she said that was my mother. And I'm like, well, what's up with the buttons? And she said, when she died, she was laid out in a suit, a business suit, and this beautiful jade green suit. But like many garments in the day, the buttons were Bakelite, and she didn't want that. She wanted sterling silver buttons. So she actually went and got some when she went to see the previewing before the wake, and changed the buttons on her mother's jacket while she was laid out in the funeral home. And that was the significance of the buttons. And I'm speaking about that because with every encounter that I have, um, there is always um, there's always something that is shown to me that looks a little different than the rest of the person. So I know that it's a validation. It's called evidence in mediumship. We're gathering evidence, and I'll explain how working as a medium works in a little bit, the mechanics of it. But another good example is I was I met with a client for a tarot reading, and this is many years later. Because what happened, I should actually backtrack and go. So I'm sorry for being confusing. I'm looking at my bullet points and I skipped a couple. So after that first encounter with my great grandmother, when I knew for sure that I was able to connect with departed people and not everybody else was, I just sort of kept it on the down low. And I would make notes. I would try to give messages, but I would pose them as questions. I would get a message from someone that this person loved, and I would say, did you ever think that maybe doing this would be better for you than what you're doing? Or did you ever think about that? And they would say, oh, yes, my uncle used to say that to me all the time. So then I knew who I was connecting with. I was just sort of fumbling through. There were no courses like there are today. There was no James von Prague. There was no Lisa Williams. There was nobody out there that was willing to teach us how to develop our skill. So we just all had to kind of go about it ragtag in our own fashion. So, in my teens, when I was around 16, I had already been trained how to read tarot at that point. So I started working as a reader and sitting as a medium. And it was extraordinary because I was getting a lot of practice with one on one readings, which was terrific for developing confidence and also skill. And I was able to bring closure to a lot of people. And I'll tell you, I learned as much from the departed as I did for the people that I was sitting for. It was extraordinary. It was a glimpse into a world that I will be part of someday. Um, but also, I had a great feeling of gratitude for being able to help, for being able to bring people peace, to bring people closure. And that went on for a while. And I sat as a medium and I did tarot readings to put my way through college. And then at one point, I went on strike for like 20 years. I just refused to sit medium because it's exhausting. It's exhausting for me. And it's also exhausting for the people that are trying to connect with me. If you knew how much energy it took for someone who passed away to actually find someone that they could use as a channel to, excuse me, bring these extraordinary messages of love and remorse and ask for forgiveness and let people who they left behind know that they're able to see them, to feel them, to hear their prayers. But all my clients wanted to know was, where was the money? Where'd they hide the money? Is there anything left that's valuable that I haven't found yet? And I just thought it was really kind of horrible. And true to my own character, I mean, I go to bat for the underdog all the time. So it was not a surprise to me that I had the back of the deceased that I took up arms for, and also started shit talking the living for what they were doing that I thought was so disrespectful. So I was like, F you all, I'm going on strike. That's it. It's over. Go talk to your own grandmothers. And I did go on strike for a very long time. But then many years later, because I did leave the psychic world. I stopped working as an intuitive because I was focused on my career, and I had a wonderful career in music. I got to travel the world. I was actively involved in that career from 1968 till 1994. And the only reason that I left that is that the genre, the most saleable genre of music changed to something that I wasn't capable of writing an authentic work product of. Um, because the most sellable music at that time was rap, and I wasn't angry and I wasn't feeling impoverished. And I just thought my work product is going to be inauthentic. It's not going to mean anything. So I'm just getting out of this. And then I went on to another career, but I had also kick-started my psychic career again. And many of the people that I did readings for in the past all came back. As a matter of fact, I'm reading some of their grandchildren today. But at that time, I had met with someone to do a tarot reading. She had just lost someone. And this is what prompted me to get back into mediumship. And I was reading for her, but um, I was blocked. My vision was blocked by this man with the blow dryer in one hand and an ashtray in the other. And I looked at my client and I said, Stephanie, we should stop your session and we should probably go out day drinking because it seems like my guides have found the tavern over there because they sound drunk. They're showing me this picture of this guy and I described him. And she's like, oh my God, that's him. And this is how I learned about evidence and mediumship. Um, this was a gentleman that she had a wonderful relationship with. He was in Florida. Stephanie lives in New Jersey, and he died while he was away. And he was a music attorney. So I'm sure we've all heard the same stories um, about what goes on in that industry. And she was concerned that he might have been, died at the hands of foul play. So he allowed me to experience the moment of his death. But what was interesting was the evidence. He had OCD. His house was spotless, with the exception of case files all over the place because he was very popular. He was also a smoker, and he would only allow 2 cigarette butts in an ashtray before he would bring it to the kitchen, empty the ashtray, wash it in the sink, and blow it dry. So suddenly, the blow dryer in the ashtray made all the sense in the world to me. Whereas prior to that, I thought it was absurd. So that's how I kind of got back into sitting as a medium. When I do work with people one-on-one, it's usually myself and that person sitting in a room facing each other. And, I've learned a lot of things from the deceased. I'm beginning to prefer the company of the dead more so than the living because they just make so much more sense. But they respond to love. So, what I'll do in a private session is I will say, don't tell me anything descriptive about the person. I don't want to know names. I don't want to know physicality. I just tell me what you loved about them. And then I have to allow myself to love the same things about that person. I have to allow myself to love their loved one along with them. And I have to open my heart chakra to that and allow that to start spinning as fast as it can, as quickly as it can. I have to raise my vibration because spirits respond to love. They feel it every time we love them when they're gone. And they know that and they look in on us. I'm sure you've all had experiences that you thought might be somebody visiting you. You might feel a presence. You might smell your mother's perfume. You might smell your grandfather's cigar. There's something you might think you heard their voice or their words suddenly come back to you. So, as that happens, as I love this person with them, I then have to raise my energy above my head because spirit energy moves much more quickly than our own. So I have to raise my vibration and I have to visualize that throbbing heart chakra coming up through my face, out of the top of my head and being suspended above me. And then a spirit will come down. They have to lower their vibration so that we're sort of on the same wavelength. And then what I have to do is I have to blend with them. And then once I do that, it's allowing my energy to be inhabited, not my body. I am not a trance medium. I am a physical medium. And I can explain those differences if you like. But once I blend with them, then I can see the person standing behind them. And then what they do as we're blended, as they're inhabiting my energy, is they share their memories with me. And then I report that to my client as evidence. And then we can get a definite yes checked off as to who their identity might be. And then messages are able to be shared between the living and the deceased. And something I learned from them, I'm sure we've all done this. Whenever we lose someone that we love, we always we always wish we told them we loved them more frequently, or I could have been more patient, or I should have visited them more. And we have a great deal of remorse. And we ultimately ask them, please forgive me for not telling you how much I loved you. I didn't know that I was going to lose you. Well, guess what? Deceased people feel that too. They've left all of us behind. And they have remorse. They wish they were more patient. They wish they told us they loved us more, which is why it's really imperative that you can find a good, legitimate medium like Anthony Russell, or there's many others, but I'm just figuring I'll throw in a shameless plug for the hell of it, because that person can then connect you, and you can say all those things you wish you had said while they were alive, and they can say that to you. And I have heard more often than not the spirit of a loved one ask for forgiveness for a transgression, even something as heinous as, there was a gentleman that I had that had abused his daughter, and he was just a horrible person in life. And it's another myth. You don't turn into some wonderful sentient being when you die. If you were an asshole when you were alive, you're going to be a dead asshole once you get there, until you experience remorse. And then when you experience remorse, you must ask for forgiveness. If they can't do it through a medium, they will try to send you a dream. They do that a lot. It's the best way, the safest way for them to reach you without freaking you out. You'll have a dream of someone that you love, or that you had, even someone that you didn't love, but someone that you knew that passed. And then there's going to be a conversation in that dream. That's actually them talking to you. I lost a 30-year partner last May. It was in May of 2020. So it's just been a little bit more than a year and a half. And I remember when he first passed, he showed up in my dreams, and I called him a name. And I said, you could show up while I'm awake. He says, well, no, you know why I can't. And this was before his body had been interred. And then I remembered that they have to stay near their body to guard it from being stolen or desecrated or whatever, on behalf of the people that love them, that they've left behind. But they've also explained to me that the difference between the soul and the soul is like a cup that holds the spirit. So when we die, our spirit and soul both move on. And then our spirit continues its journey, but our soul remains behind so that it may communicate with their loved ones. They want a way to be accessed. And then once every person that they cared for while they were alive um, is over there with them, then their soul will then join their spirit at whatever point it is in their journey. But they leave that behind, the human experience they had, because one of the first things that they have to do in what I call dead school when I teach mediumship is they have to learn how to divest themselves of any connections they had to their physical life, because they are now finally out of this body. They're out of this bag of flesh and bone that they were trapped in for so many years. And only after that can they all move on together. But it's just such a beautiful experience. I can wait to get there, but I can't wait to get there, if you know what I mean, at the same time. So that is how mediumship works for the person who's sitting as a medium. And that's in a one-on-one situation. In a group situation, it's called platform mediumship, where, like tonight, I'm in front of a room full of people, but it's not as personal. I experience it very differently. I raise my vibration to where it was, but there isn't someone coming specifically to me. I have dead people to my right, live people in front of me. I've got to keep an eye on the clock, because if I take too long, people's attention spans will wander. I have to make sure that everybody in the audience is actually in a good frame of mind, because I need your energy to raise my vibration to connect with your loved one. So it's like juggling 10 oranges, and then somebody throws three more in from the dead side or the live side, just to make sure that I have more than enough to do. And I have to stay conscious enough to bring the messages from our loved ones. Um, and that's what I'll be attempting to do tonight. Platform mediumship is new to me. I've been learning from Lisa Williams, who is an amazing and very famous medium. She used to have a TV show in the 90s, I believe. And she was on for several years, and she's been on Merv Griffin, and she's been all over the world, and she's still doing speaking engagements, but now she stopped performing because, like anything, any career, we reach a saturation point and then we can plateau. And Lisa didn't want to just continue doing readings for the rest of her life. She felt she had more to offer. So now she is teaching, and she requires that you already be a certified medium. I got my certification in the 1990s from the Forever Family Foundation because it was just necessary to have a certificate on the wall for my clients. So I had to submit that, and then I was accepted into her program. And I'm very happy to say that I'll be opening for her. I'll be an opening act for Lisa Williams on March 22nd. So if you're interested, let us know. If you'd like to reach me, you can reach me at anthony@astrowest.com. I'll even write that in chat if anybody wants to copy it down.
Yes, and we'll add that in. Absolutely, Anthony. Yes, we would love to.
Because you can meet me there and I can sit for you there. We have a facility that is a metaphysical center beneath the premier crystal and mineral gallery in the world. We have merchandise from $3 to $250,000 on display, and the big stuff is in the safe, and you have to make an appointment to see that. But we do have a very private space and a service room downstairs where we can meet in private, and I can do this. But platform mediumship is a whole other story. So a lot of it now is on Zoom because COVID did a lot to us. People have been freaked out by the lockdown. I wasn't. The love of my life was dying. So I was just running to the hospital to see him every day after working all day long, and then running to his apartment to take care of his cat, and then finally coming home to mine. So I'm surprised I didn't get sick. But then again, I was a trooper in the 80s. I was in my 30s and I was a very good sport. And I bet you I could lick every doorknob in Wuhan and come up clean. So maybe that's why I survived that lockdown. But what happened to a lot of people is that they became very introspective. And there's been a great deal of disappointment because of the contradictions in coming from our elected officials and our media sources about COVID and about lockdown and how restricted should we be and how much freedom should we have. So people are starting to think outside the box, and that's an excellent thing. The other thing that happened that was excellent is everybody got used to Zoom because people were terrified to leave their home. People wanted to visit with each other, but they didn't know if they would get sick or if they could get someone sick. So Zoom came about, and because it's the video platform that serves many Fortune 500 companies as well as our government, it's a very stable platform. So now I'm doing platform work on Zoom. Which is a whole other story. And that's what Mariana and Scott invited me to do here tonight. So that's what I would like to prep for, is how I work on Zoom. I love that we can all hide behind our photos on Zoom if we don't want people to see that our hair is a mess or that we're eating something or that we're doing God knows what with somebody. And hi, Catherine. Catherine just gave us a really good wave. It's great. So when I'm working as a medium and I was asked to do a demo, which I will or not, it's up to you guys. I would need to see your face. So that means you're going to have to kind of, run to your makeup table and beat that face up and put some powder on it and then let me see it. I would also ask everyone to mute their mics. And what will happen when I start is that I will ask you to help me to get where I'm going. And then once I'm there, I'm going to see who's to my right and who is going to come forward, and I'll start describing them. And a lot of times when I'm getting evidence from someone who has passed, a lot of hands go up. And then I have to dig a little deeper with the person I've connected with and then get more evidence and more evidence. And as more specific evidence comes out, the hands start going down. On the rare occasion, I'll have more than one person with their hand up, and then I have to figure out who I am drawn to. That's why it's important for me to see you, to feel your energy, because your energy helps me raise mine to the place where I can connect with the people who have left us. And if I start flagging, I'm going to ask you to breathe with me to get that back up. Um, so then when I get to the point where we've identified the connection, then the specific messages come. And it should be interactive. You can ask questions. Everything you say will be heard by your loved one. Everything you're feeling, and you're going to hear things that they wish that they said to you. And it's always a great idea to let them know that you forgive them for anything that they feel remorse about, because that's only going to hinder them on their own journey, their own spiritual journey, because their ultimate goal is to exist only in spirit with no connection to their earthly experience, so that they can begin to refine themselves and either return, or some stay in spirit, act like a guardian angel to us. Others become spirit guides. Others are just, they've had so many lifetime experiences that they're now approaching a status of ascended master. There seems to be a hierarchy on the other side that I don't quite understand yet. And I'm not in a hurry to find out, because frankly, I was flatlined several times in the mid 90s, and I was on the other side. It was wonderful, but it ain't all it's cracked up to be, folks. It wasn't what I was taught I would have experienced. There were no pearly gates. I was raised Roman Catholic. There were no angels playing harps and blowing trumpets on clouds, thank God, because that would have driven me bananas. Um, but there was an otherworldly sense. It was beautiful. It smelled like a forest. It was first pitch black. And then I remember thinking a little light would be nice. And these two arms came from behind me. One had a torch and one had a knife. And I knew that the knife was there for protection. And I asked for light, so I got it. But around the wrists were these two little horizontal banded black and copper snakes with little gold crowns on their head. And I had never saw anything like that. Turns out that they're called basilisks, and they represent divine wisdom. So I knew I was with a demigod or a god or a goddess or whatever it was. Then finally, my companion was next to me, and every now and then I would see her face in the torchlight. She was wearing this very shimmery orange colored robe. And every now and then I would get a glimpse of her face. And sometimes she looked old, sometimes she looked young, sometimes she looked middle aged. And I immediately identified her and knew exactly who she was. So I was cool walking with her. And I also knew that there were dead people around me. And I said, well, I was a medium when I was alive. How come I can't see any of them? And she said, um, well, you are one of the few people that can go back if you like to. And even though I wasn't blown away or razzle dazzled, I mean, there wasn't anything like, I remember the Jehovah's Witnesses telling me the streets are paved with gold and precious stones, and they're not. Uh, but I thought, hmm, what's it? So I said to her, what's in it for me if I go back? And she went like this with her torch, and this window opened. It was like a cloud. And I saw myself tending to the very old, the very young, and the very ill. And I had to make a commitment to, if I came back, to spend the rest of my life serving very old, very young, and very ill. And I have. I've kept that word, and it's a pleasure. I'm still not in a hurry to get there. But I remember thinking, I'm not going to tell her that I'm going back. I'm going to see if I can hustle her for a little more information, because I'm dying to find out all kinds of stuff over here that I can at least remember when I'm back in my body. But she was too smart. It's a whole other dimension, so it doesn't work like here. You can think something to yourself, but whoever you're connected with over there knows. So immediately I'm flying backwards 80 miles an hour, felt like I hit a brick wall, and then I'm looking up at my doctor. I was back in my body, and I felt all of the pain of the physical life, of the affliction that I had that killed me in the first place. And I remember looking down, and I was bitching about those two big red spots that the paddles put on my chest. And I was like, how the hell am I supposed to go drinking tonight? And he's like, you're not going anywhere. So the next night, I was really annoyed that I didn't take more mental notes. And what I did is I willed myself back, because I figured, well, you just died yesterday and you know how to get there, you know the shortcut. And my experience, it was like turning breaker switches off. And when you get down to the last one, you wonder, am I going to go out with the lights? And you don't care. So I did that and I went back and I had a very similar experience and I remembered a lot more. And there were many things that I've shared with people. And there are some things that I cannot. I have to promise never to share that information while I was still living in my body. And I'll keep that promise. Even if you get me drunk, you're not going to be able to pry it out of me with a crowbar, because it's just something um, that I would like to honor, and I will honor for the extraordinary experience of being back here. So, all of that said, that's my recollection of working as a medium from one side and the other. And before I start my demo, because that's what I have to do, I have to be your trained monkey tonight and do tricks, which is fine with me. I'm cool with that. I'd like to know if anybody has any questions. You can raise your hand either in Zoom, or those of you who have revealed your beautiful faces, you can do it while I'm looking at you. You can type it in chat. Any questions about anything I said or anything I'm about to do, or any questions you might have about what it's like, or share some experiences of your own. So who's game? Am I the only one that's going to be running their mouth like a fool tonight? April, I know you want to say something, but no, you're good.
I just did not agree.
I'm sorry. You were saying?
You're not a fool.
Oh, good. Okay. So that's good. All right. I guess nobody has any questions.
Well, Anthony, wait, let me just add to that. So repeat that again with the two things that you said that you remember staring at a doctor when,
oh no, when I came back into my body, I was looking up at my doctor and I looked down and I had these, they were pink. I guess it's where the paddles were when they shot
the defibrillator pads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was
so
like, how am I going out like this? How am I gonna, flaunt my body?
So you want to hear something funny then?
Yes.
So yesterday I'm washing my hands and 3 times I get this crazy image. I had to stop washing my hands because it felt like out of body. Someone was being brought back to life.
Oh wow.
And I'm actually defibrillator AED licensed to do that. And I'm like, I haven't done that. There's nothing there, but it felt so out of, and I'm like, wait, does it pertain to the show? Doesn't pertain to the show? And as soon as even before you said I had the markings,
yeah,
I already knew it had to do with you.
Oh, cool. All right. So you had a premonition of what I was going to be rambling about tonight.
No, but it was great. It's a really amazing story, though.
Well, a lot of people want to know. I mean, I was reluctant to share it for so many years. I thought, who the hell would want to hear that? But it turns out that a lot of people do. So there it is. So as somebody who's licensed and certified to use that defibrillator, can you tell me why nobody's invented one that doesn't mark your skin? I mean, what's up with that? Come on, this is all about beauty. I'm very shallow,
They're using electricity.
Yeah, but they have electricity and hair clippers, and my whole head doesn't turn red.
They want to make sure you're crispy fried.
Well, they got their wish because I had 7 of them in 6 months, and every time, the thing I liked least about it were those marks. But that's where that is. So I'm trying to think. I'm looking at my notes because I do have notes. They're just bullet points. So if you'd like me to begin to attempt to do a group session, I will. But I do have to ask anyone who hopes to be connected to please turn on your camera, because seeing you is what I draw my energy from. It's like being on stage, and I do need to get that energy from the people that I'm working for. If I sound like I'm becoming distracted, is that I'm hearing some noises over to my right, which means that people are getting ready. So if you could all think of silently remind yourself, let me connect intuitively to what you love about any of the people that any of you are hoping will show up here tonight. And then breathe with me. Just really long, deep breaths in through your nose and then out through your mouth. Because what that does is it allows us all to connect on that level. But I want you to love these people as hard as you can. And I'm going to start loving them with you. And if it takes me a minute, it takes me a minute, but I'm just bringing myself to where I need to be. I'm raising my own energy and I'm putting out an intention to be able to do this and bring joy, comfort, and closure to people on both sides, and do it with the greatest intention for the highest good. And I may have to stand in my own silence for a minute till I get there, which would be a treat for all of you who've been listening to me. Here's a gentleman. Here's a gentleman coming forward. I feel myself getting emotional, and that often happens when I'm connecting. So if I start crying, ignore me. I don't ugly cry, so we're good. Wait, let me get back up there. The gentleman looks like he's young. I would say tall, but I'm 5'3", so everybody's tall. I'd say he's around 5'10", somewhere between 20 and 40. He was a son and a brother, and he may have been a new father. Dark hair. I'm seeing him in a business suit. I think his name has an R or begins with R. I don't want to say Richard, but I just said it. That might be part of his first, middle, or last name, or maybe the name of someone that connected them. I tend not to pay too much attention to names, but he went suddenly. I'm feeling that it was an accident that was either a car or a transportation accident. And it was quick for him. He's carrying a briefcase, carrying a dark briefcase. And there are so many things I wanted to tell you. This is what I'm hearing. And I never had the chance to. I was just starting out. You were right. We have Michael, your hand is up. Do you recognize this person?
Don't let me interrupt what you're doing.
Okay. But it's something that you're, because
Well,
I need to push him harder. But,
yeah, I'm not connecting with that one, but I've got another question.
Okay. He's saying that I should have listened. I'm getting the impression that there was a falling out with family. It had to do with him being too focused on his career and possibly himself. And he's letting everybody know that he is okay. This happened, I would think, in the 1990s. It was very quick, and I don't think he was driving. He was either a passenger in a car or on a train. And it just everything suddenly came to an end for him. And there was a quarrel that he had with a gentleman. I think it might have been a dad, a grandfather, someone, a generation above him. And that's how whoever he belongs to would recognize him, that there was a falling out between he and a gentleman, a generation above him. And he wants them to know that he would like to forgive himself. Does anyone recognize who that person might be? Because he's just staying at that point. I'm sorry, I should have listened. You were right. I was too self-absorbed. I was too dazzled by what I was creating. It was the beginning of a really significant career. So I have this guy here, and that's all he wants to say. So going once, going twice, who's going to take this lovely man who looks so beautiful all dressed up? It may occur to you later that you might know who he was. He's not necessarily connected directly to you, but someone that you know, either in your family or group of friends. And I'm going to have to leave you with his message and his love. But he was immediately there. I can still see him very clearly. And he says they'll get it. They'll remember. Somebody's going to talk about it and somebody's going to remember. So that's the first one, but there's two or three more over there. But I can address you now, Michael. So what is your hand up? What is your question?
Well, firstly, thank you for doing this. It's an amazing service.
Thank you.
So this may be a mission impossible. That's why I sort of wanted to ask.
Mhm.
I was adopted.
Okay.
And from a very early age, I totally accepted it, that it was like a soul mission,
Mhm.
and I almost never paid it any mind. Everyone that I tell I was adopted always asks, well, have you tried to get hold of your parents or whatever? I would feel that they would be passed over now.
Mhm.
And I, tuning in here today is suddenly
Mhm.
like, wow, this is an opportunity. So
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to ask you something because I just got some thoughts while you were talking, and I'm kind of pushing myself back up there. Were both of you never met them? Is that what you're saying? Okay, because I'm getting the impression that both of them were not from the same country. Uh,
all I know is that my mother was Australian, whatever that means. It could be
okay.
Italian, it could be, who
Right.
knows. And my father was Hungarian.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Okay, so that explains that. So thank you for validating that evidence. Um, this is a beautiful story. Uh, oh God, I'm sorry, your mom. One, I'm really sorry. I'm getting a little emotional. It's so gorgeous. This is a love story, and I think he was there for a period of time for business or education. Some reason he was there, and they did fall in love. And they were young. They were very young, and she didn't tell anyone. She didn't even tell him that she was pregnant. Um, and then eventually she did after the adoption, but she was so young, and she's saying at that time, I couldn't. I would have been an outcast. I We had to hide it, and I believe it was arranged through a friend who either knew of an agency or knew the family that raised you. I don't know if you have any of those details, but she needed to know that that there was a thread for herself to follow if she ever wanted to um, connect with you again. She was frightfully young, I would say middle or late teens. And your dad was just an amazing, dashing, handsome gentleman. And it was love. It wasn't just lust. It wasn't anything untoward. And they both went on to have their lives. She did reach him after the fact, maybe even as much as a year or two. There's letters I'm seeing her writing, and let him know that there was no way to find you, but she didn't want him to go through the rest of his life not knowing. She went on to have a family of her own and was a tremendous, loving, nurturing mother, but she never forgot you. And she would always, every time she hugged her children, hug you and try to send you that. She was convinced and assured that you were safe and that you were in a loving environment. But she's confounded by the time that she lived in, where she couldn't. Today, she could have kept you. She just wants you to know, in case you've ever wondered, I'm hearing her, that she never once wanted to be rid of you. You were not unwanted. It was just not possible. And I do believe there might be somebody in your family who knows a little bit more. They might not know her, but there was a thread, there was a person that she trusted that she used to get you to the place where you could be handed over safely to people who would take such good care of you. And she's hoping that that experience was as good for you as she had hoped it would, and wonders if you, as a child, ever felt her hugs. Did you ever feel that energy just hugging you around? And she wants you to know, if you did, that was indeed her. I'm sorry, I'm so moved by this. I'm just blown to pieces. It's such a beautiful, selfless story, but
Yeah. Well, I wanted to let them know, and I'm very emotional now too, that I
she can
never
hear
held
you,
it
you know.
against them.
Pardon?
You know, I never held it against them, didn't blame them or anything. I realized that it must have been some situation like that. And, you know, I'm sending them my love too.
Mhm. They were both very beautiful people when they were young, inside and out. And your mom is letting me watch her progress through her life. And she was that salt of the earth, you know, just loving, embracing little stout lady she turned into. That's what she's calling herself. And never, ever, ever forgot you. She was sad. Say it again, please. And her M. Marjorie, maybe. Uh, she never forgot you. She always sent her best wishes. She was like everybody's mom. When her children were in school, the entire school would be in the house. She was that kind of mom. I think we've all known people that are like that. And she always included you. And she had something she would say out loud whenever she was giving thanks for dinner. She would, you know, ask for blessings for everyone at the table by name, and always say, and anyone else that I can't see. And that was for you. I'm a mess, so forgive me. I'm sorry, but I hope
Anthony?
you can find some evidence that would validate that for you, because it's too real. I'm
Yeah.
actually shook up by it.
I never investigated who they were or whatever, because I just accepted it. But did she say her name?
I got began with an M. I want to say Marjorie or something like that.
Anthony? Anthony,
Yes.
sorry. Marguerite.
Oh yeah.
That's what I got. I heard Marguerite.
Okay. No, I definitely saw the J in it, but it could be. It
Yeah,
gets
maybe
a little
Marjorie is like
lost in translation. A little lost in translation, but she is. Oh my God, lovely woman.
Well,
You'll be with
thank you
her.
so much.
You will be
I
with
don't
her.
want to hog the space,
No,
but
that's okay.
that was beautiful.
That's
Thank
okay,
you.
because I'm
Anthony?
only going to be
Sorry.
able to stay there a bit. So your hand is up too, Mariana. So did you have any questions or requests, or was it about the name?
Not necessarily about the name. I just got that. I just kind of blurred that out. That's what was given to me. So Marjorie was like the shorthand, or maybe she went by Marjorie. Maybe Marguerite was the legal name. I don't know, but that's what I got, Marguerite. But I just have a special message to add to that. When you got emotional, I got emotional too, because she came, I guess, to both of us simultaneously. And because I do share similar stories with that, you know, I have two children as well who are older. You know, we had to separate between dad and mom, and they live with their dad and their stepmom. And so she allowed me to feel that, and I still hold the same kind of feelings towards that. And what I got for you, Michael, was a special message that, just to confirm everything and affirm what Anthony was saying, was that she never stopped believing that there might be that possibility of ever being together with you in family. That's what I felt. Like in the back of her mind, she felt that she could still be able to bring you back and have you there with her one way or another. But at one point or another, I think towards the middle of her life, she understood that that was almost nearly impossible. So she just kept you in her heart and just thinking about you every single day.
Well, see, Mariana, you're giving me a perfect example of how platform works, whether I'm in a physical room full of people or doing it on Zoom. I'm going to call her Marjorie because that's what I saw her writing, but she came to connect with Michael, and she did. I believe she did because I know what I was feeling, but there's a saying that when one person is healed, the entire room is healed. And what she did is she nurtured you, Mariana. She connected with, she may have even activated your own feelings about separation from your children, and maybe hearing what she had to say and knowing how she never, ever, ever didn't have him off her mind is comfort to you. Because I'm sure that you probably wonder, do they remember me as much as I'd like them to, or do they think that I'm not thinking about them when I'm not with them? So this is a testament from a mom that is just incredible and healing for everybody here. Now, I've got to get my energy back up there because that just brought me right back to present, and just give me a second, breathe with me and help me kind of get my vibe going on up there. And love the person that you're missing so I can connect with that love and get my own self up there, get that for them to be attracted to come down. And thank you all for helping me do that a few minutes ago. Wait. Wow, we just had a gate crasher. They zoom in, they zoom out, bringing somebody with them. Who is that? Okay, I know who this is, and I know who she's for. And Renee, she cannot stay long. She's calling you Nay. Raise your hand if that's true, or come on, you can unmute your mic. She can't stay long. She wants you. She wants to. Wait, come on. Did you find the box?
I haven't been home, but she does call me Nay.
Okay. I'm surprised because she's very recent. She's very recently passed. And that's probably why she can't stay long. But she thinks she didn't let you know how much she appreciated you at the end. Something about tea. Did you used to drink tea with her? Did she drink tea? Did something to do? I'm seeing a teacup or a cup.
Coffee.
Okay. That's when you can did you have like a thing with her about that, where when you visited or when you were with her, was it a certain time of day or a certain, or was there something
Not
that you
really.
shared over that? Because that's, she's saying that's how you can connect with her. Because she enjoyed the conversations. It was almost like, I'm getting the impression she was very busy throughout the day, doing a million things, and to sit down and
Not
share.
really. She wasn't busy. She was retired. So I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, like taking care of the house, making sure that
Mhm.
everybody was okay, looking after this one, looking after that one, and then to sit down. You were, I mean, we know you were her child, but to her, you were that like girlfriend that she could just let herself down with. And she's pointing to her legs and saying, look how good they're looking now. Does that make
Yeah.
any sense to you?
Her legs used to hurt.
Okay. Well, they don't anymore. She's letting you know that. She's been around you. Come on. Wait, pushing my my stuff back up there. Come on. She tries as hard as she can to be around you, to give you signs. She makes noises and happen around you. Get my hand away from that crown chakra. Get my heart chakra up there. She has been around you. She's been in the room with you. And she's tried to get your attention, either by making something sound like something fell. She's laughing and she goes, I'm going to be getting better at this. But she wants you to know that she heard you. Come on. She's yelling at me. You know, I don't have much damn time left.
Yes, that sound like her.
Yeah, you know, she's letting you heard something. I think either in the same room or in the immediate next room. It sounded like something light might have fallen over on a table or something. There was a noise that you heard and you thought of her, then you dismissed it because it wasn't really. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember any noise. I mean, but
Yeah, it sounded like something, like maybe a candle fell over, not a candlestick, something light that just sounded like it might have fallen on a hard surface. She was trying to get your attention. And it was at a time where you were doing something but thinking of her at the same time. You might have been cleaning and thinking of her at the same time. And there was something, did something drop? Did something fall? And there was nothing, but it wasn't disturbing enough for you to go look to see. But she is telling me she's getting getting better at this. So a lot to learn here, a lot to do. But she looks in, and she's also telling you that regarding siblings, let their own thing blow over. Something's going on. You have a female sibling that
I
is
have
going through some rough time about
yeah,
this, about her
my
passing.
my sis, one of my sisters is taking it really hard.
Okay. Let her know that you love her. Let your sister know that you love her. Um, she's saying she has to do it in her own time. Let her know that she can reach you, but don't push her, because
Yeah, she's sensitive.
yeah,
Yeah, my sister's real sensitive.
yeah. But if you think it's wise, you could let her know that you're getting this from her, this information from her, that she's loved as much as the rest of everybody. She must have felt, I'm getting a sense of your sister about her own sensitivity, and maybe just wondering, does she love me as much? Did she love me as much as everyone else?
Yeah, because I was my mom's favorite.
Of course. Well, you're my favorite girl, and I'm not even your mom. Yeah. But yes, but your sister, that's one of the things. I mean, I don't know. She might flip out if you share this with her, but if you think it would be comforting for her, let her know that your mother knows that she
Yeah,
wants
stuff
her to
like this
know.
scares her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, your mom just said, um, so, she needs to know that that would help her get past this. She also is the kind of person, your sister, that you can't go and hover, but you have to let her know that she has you. Your mom's asking you to pick up that baton, and act in her stead. And she's yelled at me again. has to go. She said you took too damn long because now she's like going back to where she was. It was so weird because I saw her looking happy, but the main thing was she's like, look how good they are now about her legs. I mean, she's letting you know that she's out of whatever pain or discomfort she was in. And apparently she's connecting with each of you. So you may have to be a mom to your sister for a little while in some ways every now and then. Give her some comfort. And if you do think it would help her, let her know that you contacted her this way if it won't flip her out, or that she contacted you and had that specific message for her, that she was loved as much as everyone. And for some reason, I'm kind of coming back down. My goodness, that was short. I guess I need more practice at this to be able to stay there longer, but thank you all for loving your loved ones and letting me go there with you. I wish I could have done more. I don't even know how much linear time I've occupied. I hope I didn't go on for too long, but I'm just feeling myself become human again.
You have any more? We have about 10 more minutes. It's fine.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I'm losing access.
Oh, okay.
It might be for many reasons. I mean, I know that connecting with Michael's parents was really strong. It took a lot. And your dad's name began with L. Laszlo. Okay. I thank you. I'm sorry it was such a short thing, but I'm completely back, and I didn't bring myself back. It's a very different experience than when I'm sitting with one person. So I hope somebody remembers the young man that came forward first or hears about him through someone that they know, because he was very adamant that everybody knows that he realizes his mistake. But I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. I'm just beside myself now at this moment. I hope I served both the living and the deceased well. I wish that I could have stayed up there longer, but I couldn't. So thank you for that. And if anybody has any questions, let me know. I was hoping to connect with my parents if we had longer on this meeting. I wish that I could have stayed there longer. It doesn't mean that they weren't there. There were still people there that I wasn't able to connect with. It was my energy that was brought down, and I don't understand why. So I do apologize.
Just want to say thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Catherine.
I enjoyed your mediumship and your skill and your compassion. I felt it all throughout your readings. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for the service.
Always a pleasure. So if anybody has any questions about anything, now's your big shot. Ask me all my dirty secrets. Anything you want to know about development, if any of you are developing or have had experiences that you might want to get some clarity on. Michael, it looked like you were.
Well, we can do this again, can't we?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I'll be more than happy to do that. So I guess I should just thank you all very much for letting me occupy your time and making the few connections that I did. And I hope it brought you some feeling of peace, because it certainly did for me. And I do appreciate the opportunity. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Anthony, I just want to say thank you so much. It was absolutely amazing. And yes, it did definitely brought us a sense of peace for sure. It's really an amazing skill. It's an innate talent. It's a gift to be able to do something like that because it brings people closure. I've learned in my own experience as a medium, and I'm a trans medium, that there's no greater fulfillment than just being able to do that for someone who is looking to connect to their loved ones that they've lost. And
Absolutely.
they just don't have answers for. They've been looking to speak to their loved ones. They, something like grief or losing a loved one can paralyze someone for life.
It can. And that's why remorse is something that we all have to remember. They have it too. So we should try to connect with them. You can think about them. I mean, I would recommend, and Britt, before you disappear, I did see your question in chat. I did see your statement in chat. You can email me, Anthony@astrowest.com, and I'll be more than happy to share a number. Maybe we can have a conversation about what your development and things like that. So I'll be more than happy to work with you on that. But it is a healing for people in the room. I was healed actually connecting with Michael's mom. It was such a beautiful thing and a beautiful love story between both of your parents. And maybe that was important for you to know, because you never know how somebody may have become pregnant. And it was love on both parts, and they all knew. They both knew. This is what I'm remembering from that their distance. He was not going to be there for a long time, but he was there for an extended period. And they both knew that there was, at that time in their history, in their immediate time span, there was no way to make it happen, because she was too young and he was almost just barely not. So I guess somebody who had just reached legal age. And they were both very regretful, and he was very thankful that she let him know within a year that there had been someone, because somehow they connected. I don't know why that just came back out, but I hope I've served all of you well, and I hope that that I will have the opportunity to do this again, and maybe get my shit together and stay up there longer, because I never know. It just feels like I'm coming back to life again, and okay, so I will copy Britt.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Anthony, so
sure.
much. And absolutely. I'm going to put mine in there as well, my email. And if you guys want to get a hold of Anthony or myself, please do reach out. And I hope, Anthony, we can do this again. This would be wonderful. Love to. And Michael just put up his email as well, beinghuman@gmail.com. Yes. So again, Anthony Russell's email is anthony@astrowest.com.
And if any of you are in the city, if you live in New York or near New York, come by and see me, man. It's a really cool place.
I know.
We just got a fossil selection. We have a raptor foot. I can't even say that without giggling. So.
I'm from Long Island.
Oh, cool. All right. So 79th and Columbus. Just come in.
Okay.
And you take my email. You can do that, and then I'll send you a number where you can text me, because I'm only two blocks away from there. So even if I'm not working, I'm usually in the neighborhood. Phil had to leave. Thank you, Phil. He just said thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
And I'm going to copy all y'all's emails.
Yeah.
Right now, I just can't find. There it is. My notes. So thank you.
You ever want to do a message circle where there's, because I'm also a medium, I would love to do message circles with
absolutely.
Absolutely.
That'll be fun.
I love that, when everybody just takes turns giving each other in the circle messages.
Sure.
Absolutely. That would be great. And so after that, Anthony and Michael, I just think that this was specifically done for everyone. I always feel like Magdalena Chronicles always has the participants that are needed to be there. It's like almost like a calling. So if you're called to it, you will attend it, because there's always a message there. Whether it's public, it usually reaches to your very core. And it was meant for the people that was here. And I agree with Anthony. The Michael's mom was very, very healing for me. So thank you so much for that.
Good.
Michael, I do definitely have more to say to you. So we'll definitely connect privately on that end as well. And if you don't mind, Anthony, Michael has a few words to say about the project that he's a part of, and the documentary that will be working on, and he's working on at the moment, and it's called Beyond Being Human, which I think, Anthony, should definitely invite you into that as well. And Anthony, again, it's an extraordinary honor, especially on 11/11, to be able to do that. And this is what 11/11 is all about: deconstruction of old patterns and healing. Day of healing.
Yeah. Well, shall I take a few minutes?
Yes, please do.
Okay. And thank you so much again, Anthony and Mariana. And yes, it was somewhat of a closure to me because, you know, there's always that curiosity, like, you know, just don't know. So, you know, and hopefully now I might be able to connect closer as well. So thank you. And okay, Beyond Being Human. Well, talking about other beings and what have you, I had an angelic encounter about 6 years ago, and I'll keep this really brief. Basically, since that point of like being bombarded with energy, and like there wasn't any telepathic messages at that time, but since that time, my awareness of multi-dimensional nature of our world and UFOs and ETs and all of that has grown just continuously. And it's I had a long pause for about 4 years. I won't go into the reasons of all of that, but just this year in February, I got a really strong urge and a message like, do it now. And so talking about creating a documentary, early on after the angel experience, I was literally I keep doing that because that's the image that I had, even though I wasn't seeing a being as such. But it was like being given a sphere, and the words came with that, beyond being human. And it was all about just gathering all of the information, making sense of it in a holistic fashion, and sending it out to the world. So the sphere is also the world as well as the project, and the interconnectedness of all of it. And this is what we're starting to realize now. It's like the extraterrestrials are one thing, and we've kind of sidelined them and gone, oh, you know, aliens and this, that, and the other. And oh, there's all these different races. And like, yeah. But in actual fact, the angelic kingdom and our consciousness and our participation in the entire universe is now, we're realizing one thing. And as our planet is now kind of going through its changes, which is a reflection of us, and we come to realize our consciousness too, by raising our joy, raising our love, letting go of fear, letting go of the angst and the competitiveness and all of those sorts of things, is really where we've got to go, and fast. Like, we do not really have that much longer. Like, we're at the point now where things are just accelerating in all sorts of ways. And in my own personal life, since that angel encounter, well, it's an ongoing thing now. I get little messages, voices, and images. And when I'm seeing people on video, I get a heart activation kind of thing, like, oh, they've got to be involved in the project. And it's been incredible, the synchronicities and the flows just kind of coming so fast. And it's magic, you know, it's just incredible. So in a very short time, we've gathered a crew, including Mariana, well, I think it's up to about 9 people now, including a very, well, quite famous New York director, James Carman, who did a movie 10 years ago called The Hidden Hand. And he's joined forces as co-producer, co-director in the documentary. But I got very early on about how all of the research material has to be shared. Like, just let it go, let it out there, because people need to hear this. And so the spreading of the awareness into mainstream society is seeming to be the most important thing. So I'm always now looking for avenues and opportunities to go beyond the UFO crowd or the ET crowd, or even the psychic kind of communities. Like, let's start reaching out, and even just on a one-on-one basis, like all of you guys, just talking to the guy in the grocery shop or whatever it might be. Like, oh, I went to a medium the other day and it was incredible. And, like our people who've passed away, that they're with us all the time and we can communicate, all of those sorts of things, just raising that awareness higher and higher and more and more. Anyway, thank you.
Michael, can I say that we seem to be gathering without even trying? We're kind of assembling like some insane army that's just going to take over and make everything sensible again. So that's what I think is extraordinary, is that the vibration you're putting out, the vibration each of us is putting out, is attracting like minds. And like it or not, powers that be, we're assembling and we're ready for you. So watch out. Because I think all these sightings that we're seeing, I think that we've become, forgive my math, we've become so fucking stupid over the past 20 years that they're not invading us. I mean, everybody's, oh my God, we're being invaded. They're leaving. They're saying, you know what? We taught you how to build pyramids. We taught you how to paint the Sistine Chapel. We taught you all kinds of shit. And look at you. You don't even know what gender you are anymore. We're out. Deal with this. We're gone. On to the next. So now it's up to us, those of us who have been touched by all of them in some extraordinary way, by being given talents and access to communicate. So we don't even have to look for each other. We're just showing up. And I'm very excited about that. And Michael, I would love to join your Facebook group. So I'm going to look for Anthony Central, because it's sort of like Grand Central. But I want to thank you for your message and coming out and sharing all that, because it's happening.
Yeah, thank you. And like, please share. This is one big thing that I'm seeing, what I'm doing in the Facebook group, and that's just the start, is being open to everyone and, like, promote what you're doing and share what's going on. There's so many Facebook groups that go, oh, you can't talk about other stuff. I want to control this and I want, just that. And it's like, oh man, it's like we're in a big community here.
Yeah. And we should connect. We should connect, and we are connecting on mute.
Yeah, well, let's talk more.
I think we should all talk more, definitely. And I think before we end, I just want to add, this message I just got from Mary Magdalene, is that's what this whole thing is about. And that's what even today is about. We are all fishermen. We are both human and we are both divine. And when we start to limit one or put one over the other, we lose that balance and we lose the center. We are spiritual beings embodying a human experience and not the other way around. And so everything that comes with that human experience, because as I've heard many times mentioned, nothing is more difficult than the human condition. And all of us had made a pre-existing choice before we were born. It was predated. And I always feel, to add to that message, is that it's almost like it already happened and we're just catching up to it. Our physical consciousness is just catching up to that. And so as part of having that human experience, you will have the negative, you will have the positive, you will have the dark, you will have the white. I mean, there's no white without the dark, and there's no dark without the white. So if we just center on in just one side, we can't see the beauty that allows us to see the other side. I mean, it's not, the grass is always green on the other side. That's great. But without having those dark moments, without having that darkness come over, we're having that dark night of the soul, or as we just seen the beautiful healing happen, without those trials and tribulations, how could we really have the ability, the capacity, the inner eye, the inner intelligence of the heart to be able to see the beauty of the good moments, the positivity, to be able to raise our vibration if we didn't go through all of that. And this is why we are doing this. This is why the Zodiac Lounge exists. This is why the Chronicles exist. This is why the Beyond Being Human project, which I believe will be a global phenomenon, it's already becoming a global phenomenon and truly an awareness movement of its own. I think that what we are doing is continuing what Yeshua and Mary had actually started over 2,000 years ago. And we are planting those seeds. We are breaking that silence. I think over 2,000 years is long enough. And by doing this, little by little, we will approach the era where, like I said before, our new generations, our children, and their children's children will actually see a different world where they have the ability to speak and have no fear over what they believe and what they wish to say. And that's the world, and that's the reality and the timeline that I will spend the rest of my life thriving to create as a co-creator of Divine Source. So thank you guys so much. Catherine, did you have anything else to say?
Oh no, I'm just so excited to hear all of this, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very excited.
Definitely. Catherine, if you can put your email in as well in the chat.
Okay, I already did. It's
great.
Scroll up. Yeah. So.
Great. Well, without further ado, thank you so much, everyone that had attended. Such an honor to be with you all tonight. Such a beautiful thing to spend my spiritual rebirthday with such beautiful, magnificent souls such as yourselves. And I will definitely look forward to seeing you guys in the future. There will be December shows coming up. I'm hoping to do a 12/12 and a 12/21 winter solstice. So it'll be a collaboration as well. And look out for the emails, and we'll definitely connect soon. And to everyone watching, have a most amazing 11/11. And thank you to all our veterans yet again. Thank you to Anthony Russell, extraordinary medium, an extraordinary teacher of our current times in the metaphysical and in the physical. So thank you, Anthony. It was such an honor to really have you on board. And thank you, Michael, for sharing and being so candid. Thank you so much. Thank you, April, for being a part of this. April is such a devoted fan of the Magdalena Chronicles, and she's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Thank you, Britt. We will be in touch. Britt is a good friend of mine, so we will definitely be in touch. Thank you so much, Catherine. It was an honor.
It was so
and to
nice.
all who participated. Yes, Catherine.
It was so nice to be here and to meet you all. And what a blessing it was for me tonight. And I hope to see more of you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely.